Welcome to Koho, Living Spiritual Greatness. I am your host, Meiwengel, and I want to invite you on a journey to get to know and to be reminded of your spiritual greatness and how you can live it consciously so that you can create the life you desire. We are all spiritual beings here on earth to have a human experience, and when we focus on this, we are able to create paradise on earth. Come join me in this movement to make this world a better place by letting go of our fears, old patterns, attachments, and resistance. If you want to help shape this podcast, or if you just like my work and want to support it, become a patron of mine. You will have the possibility to ask questions that will be answered in the podcast or receive special coachings in a group or one-on-one setting. You will find the link to my Patreon page in the show notes. But for now, have fun with today's episode. Hello, servus, and aloha, you beautiful starseeds and beautiful beings out there listening in and tuning into this new podcast episode today. I wanted to talk to you about how spirit doesn't really have structured time sets like we have, which is also one of the reasons, maybe you've noticed like that this podcast, each episode comes in different time frames. Like sometimes it'll be on a Tuesday, sometimes on a Wednesday. And this happens because I want this podcast to be a channeled inspiration that comes through. So whenever I have the impulse from my higher self to go like, hey, now we have this, like you need to talk about this topic. So that's when I'll record it, right? And it's the same with the interviews. I have, like, this podcast for me is being led by the spiritual world or by our higher selves or by our spiritual greatness. That's why it's called Koho, Living Spiritual Greatness, because it's like I'm following the guidance that is there through whatever you want to say is up, whatever you believe that is guiding me. And if you wonder, for me, it feels like it's my higher self guiding me, giving me the impulses, going like, okay, now let's have this topic, and hey, we have this over here, or maybe even sending it through you guys. If you're a patron, you're not allowed. You're always allowed to ask questions, but those specific ones I'm going to be answering here in the podcast. So that could also be something sending the information that needs to be here in this podcast so that it can be filled, right? But maybe you've noticed that it's not like there's always a new episode on Monday or always a new episode on Wednesday. I have to say that I actually tried it. I tried to put myself, my whole being into that. But that's just not how spirit works. Spirit works whenever it wants to work, whenever it comes through. And it doesn't have structure like we know it. And which isn't, like, to tell you the truth, I think for people that haven't been too connected, it's not so easy, right? Because we're so used to, and I'm saying we because I used to be one of those people. I used to work in corporate, so everything was very, structure. And here, and especially in Germany, everything has their space and time, and you have to do it in this amount of time, and on those specific dates. And I tried doing that. I mean, I think in one of the earlier podcasts, I also explained about the Santeria, which is similar with the gods. Like you're supposed to put on, have a candle in this color on that date for that god, and things like that. And like you see, I'm going like this because it's like, it was so exhausting for me because that's not how I work. I mean, the thing is, I used to fit perfectly in because I was fitting in. But if I go on my true nature just doesn't work like that. My true nature comes in waves. So if I follow my inner guidance whenever it's ready, then I'm ready to talk about it. Then I'm ready to have the inspiration. And it comes out way more truthful. It's a lot more authentic, what comes out of me, because it's when it's supposed to come through, right? Now you might say, yeah, but you could record it and then just put it out there every Monday or every Wednesday. But that's just not how I work. That's just not how spirit works. Because I'll have a week where I have many things coming through that I'll do 4 or 5 podcast episodes. And then there's a week where nothing comes in, and then nothing comes in. But I don't want to not be authentic, because usually when I record an episode, it just feels like, oh my God, I want this to go out there. I want this to to just be online for you guys. So that's how spirit works, and through me. And I think this is how it works through everywhere. When you start working like this, it's a little bit confusing, because I have to tell you the truth. In the beginning, I thought that something was wrong with me, because I felt like I wasn't disciplined enough. Like I was watching everybody else, like the typical one, wake up at 5, meditate, journal, do sport, eat something healthy, and then, start the day. And that wasn't me. I need my time in the morning. And it was so beautiful when I got to Hawaii last time I was there. And I was speaking. I remember getting there and talking to my Hawaiian teacher, and I asked her, like, okay, so how, how is this going to happen? And she was like, well, we're going to do it in spirit time. So whenever spirit feels like it, we're going to do it. And that could be at any time, at any moment. So we don't have, we're just going to, live, and it's going to happen. That's basically, well, she didn't say it in those words, but it was basically what she meant. And it was so funny for me, because I saw the resistance that I had, because it was like, I was so used to, if you go and have a training and a course, you have your structure, like it starts at 9 a.m, and then we have a break at 2, and then we have a, like that. And I was just sitting there going like, okay, so we don't have that. That feels like it's me. And then she tells me that a lot of times spirit works very late, like from 11, 12, 1, maybe 2. And so it takes longer in the morning to get up, because if you go to bed later, then that's how it works, right? And I was just sitting there going like, oh my God, I'm in paradise for me, because she functions similar to me. This doesn't mean that has to be yours. If you listen to the podcast episode about human design, you're going to know that there's different types, and I'm the type that has that thing. And I'm not using human design as an excuse. I'm using human design to explain myself, because before I accepted that I am this way, that's how I work, and that's how spirit works through me, and that's how I function. I was really thinking that something was wrong with me, that I'm not, something is just not right. And I'm grateful that I stopped doing that, and that I finally gave in to, okay, so this is how spirit works. Spirit works in different ways with each other, with each one of us. And I do believe there's people that really need structure. So if you're one of those, please don't fight yourself. Even being a spiritual person, because I named this Spirit Works, has a different structure. If you are someone that has very structured, that needs, timelines and dates and things to work out like that, then that's how spirit will work through you. Like I said, in my case, I'm a little bit different, and that's why spirit works a little bit different through me. But that's the beauty about it. We're all so different, and we're allowed to be different, right? So I think basically the most important thing about it is, and the important message about this is as long as you're mindful and with yourself, with your spirituality, with your guidance, you're gonna feel it, and you're gonna know when you are at, when it needs to happen, what needs to happen, and it's going to be okay. And I'm saying this is like, if you're structured, don't fight yourself about it. If you're not structured, don't fight yourself about it. Just allow yourself, and allow spirit, or the spirit guides, or higher self, just to do their thing whenever they have to do their thing, like I am doing here. Of course, probably someone out there is going to say, wait, I want my podcast every Monday. I'm sorry, I can't give you that. That's not me. That wouldn't be authentic. That would be me trying to press myself into something I'm not. That's how Spirit works with me and through me. Oh, but just to let you know, if in case you're wondering, when I do coachings, I can very well give you structure or not if that's what you need, because that's coaching. For me, is a little bit different. It's still Spirit working through, but it's something different than when I have to be creative by myself when I'm doing podcasts or interviews. So that's a little bit different. Just that if you're worried that if I do coaching with you, you're gonna have like maybe she'll be there or not. No, I'm really there. I'm like thinking about it. I think in the past 5 years that I've been doing online coachings, I think it's been only twice that I had to move a meeting, and in my group calls, I think it's been once. But that's like really, there has to be something really, really bad or strong happening to me, or I have to be very sick, that I don't have any powers in myself that I can't attend a coaching call. So that's just to give you an update for that, because that's a different kind of work if I have to be creative like here for the podcast. So yeah, because I said it, if you'd like to have an extraordinary coaching that will take you to another level, that will show you how extraordinary you are, that will show you how to let go of things. I think you remember the last episode was about letting go, but we can go way deeper. I can support you on this topic of letting go old patterns, transforming those. If you want to do that and bring more lightness and bring more ease into your life, and just live your extraordinary self and live your spiritual greatness, send me a message. Let's have a talk and let's see how we can work together. I'd love to coach you. I'm ready. I'm waiting here for you. We have the internet, thankfully, so even in these times we can connect, and I'm very grateful for that. So thank you for tuning in to today's episode about how Spirit has a special structure. I hope you liked it, and talk to you soon whenever Spirit wants to talk next. Sending you a big mahalo. Thank you for tuning in. Mwah.